Former President Trump maintaining his strong lead over the GOP field. A new poll among Iowa Republican caucus goers showing him leading the pack with 42%. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is in second place with 19%. Poll also finding 52% of caucus goers could still be persuaded to support another candidate. Joining me now, Florida Congressman Michael Waltz. He's a member of the House Armed Services Committee and was recently with the former president at the Iowa State Fair. Congressman, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
So President Trump skipping the debate, but still some of the Iowa caucus are saying, these Republican caucus goers are saying they would be open to someone else. That debate is tomorrow night. Your expectations?
Well, I think Governor DeSantis should probably bring some of his body armor from his days in the Navy, because everybody's going to be gunning for that #2 slot and therefore gunning for him. And others that are polling in the single digits, I think, are going to take it as an opportunity to introduce themselves to the country with a big audience and really kind of lay out who they are and their vision. But I expect it to be a pretty good free-for-all. And look, the good news here is that the Republican Party has a pretty incredible bench of great leaders at the state level and great businessmen and others ready to go. But look, I think they need to be introducing themselves to the country for 2028, because I think at the end of the day, President Trump will be the next president.
Well, but at the same time, he's not going to be on that stage tomorrow night. And this is it's going to be expectations is millions of eyeballs are going to be on these candidates. Many are going to be listening and seeing these candidates for the first time, truly, throughout the country.
Right.
This is their real first time to actually say, okay, well, who else is out there, in particular with the president's legal troubles. Amber Athey is on set with me. He's got a question for you.
Congressman, given that the
Sure.
Trump surrogates are not allowed to be at the debate, do you think the other candidates are breathing a sigh of relief? And how is that going to change the dynamic in the spin room following this debate?
Well, look, it'll change the dynamic, but at the end of the day, we've never had a situation like this in 130 years, since the late 19th century, where we had a former president, well-defined, that is running again. And at the end of the day, when you see President Trump so ahead, so dominating in the polls, it's because people have gotten a taste of what progressive governance looks like, what Bidenomics is doing to their lives, and they want to get back to all of those policies, whether it was on the border, economy, Middle East peace, China, and on down the list, that had America roaring in 2019 pre-pandemic. And I'm convinced, and the reason I've endorsed him, is that you don't get the policies without the man. You do not get, for example, you don't get SpaceX without Elon Musk, and you don't get all of those, whether it was new NAFTA, justice reform, veterans reform, a rebuilt military, without a true disruptor in the White House. Americans know that, and I think that's why you're seeing him dominate.
Well, we'll see what we'll see if there's any breakout stars tomorrow night who emerges where the punches get thrown the most. And I agree. I think Governor DeSantis should, good point, get his body armor ready to go. You mentioned President Biden. Let's talk about this, because he briefly visited Hawaii yesterday, more than 2 weeks after the wildfires. Not a warm reception for the president. He was actually greeted with jeers, frustration. There were protesters. There were even signs, Congressman, that said no comment on them. Now he's back on vacation in Lake Tahoe, and then we're just finding out this morning that these Nevada officials are investigating his deal to stay at Tom Steyer's $18 million mansion. So basically, Steyer's getting accused of violating a local housing law, Congressman. You can't make this up. But go back really quick to President Biden in Hawaii. He frankly seemed a little tone deaf to the destruction that was around him.
Yeah, well, first, I'm having a hard time believing that he's renting that mansion in Colorado at market rates, but here from a billionaire. But here nor there. Look, President Biden ran on competence and on compassion and being the adult in the room. And Afghanistan and that withdrawal, which was the most incompetent and cold-hearted thing I've ever experienced in my adult life, I think ruined that, pulled the rug out from under it. This is just yet more evidence. I come from a hurricane state in Florida where we're dealing with these types of natural disasters. And it's, I mean, you know, ironically, a bit of an opportunity for leaders to show leadership and compassion. And right now we're seeing the commander-in-chief showing neither.
All right. Well, Congressman, you did just return from India, and you led a bipartisan delegation that attended Prime Minister Modi's Independence Day speech. I want to talk to you about this trip. One of the concerns, in particular, a Wall Street concern, is that India and China and Brazil are now starting to basically do exchange and do deals in their own currencies, not using the U.S. dollar. There is concerns that that weakens the power of the U.S. dollar around the world. Did that come up during your trip at all?
Yeah, no, I think honestly that's aspirational on some people's part. But here's the thing that's so exciting about India: the world's largest democracy now a larger country than China, partnered with the world's oldest democracy in the United States. When we talk a lot about decoupling, de-risking, moving supply chains, of course I want them here in the United States to the extent possible. But to the extent it's not possible, let's move them to a fellow democracy like India that's not talking about replacing the United States. And here's a statistic for you. There's 800 million people online and on smartphones in India, 1.4 billion people, yet its economy is still a third the size of China's. There's a lot of upside there, a lot of people buying washing machines or new cars, moving into the middle class, and a vibrant engineering, STEM, and IT sector. There is so many things across so many industries, space, biotech, pharma, for the United States and India to partner on. That's what we were moving towards. And from a geostrategic standpoint, look, we see a lot of military action and buildup as it pertains to Taiwan. There is a massive Chinese military buildup on its border with India. They are seeking to buy U.S. defense equipment, move away from its old legacy Russian equipment. Again, this is the most important partnership in the 21st century, economically, diplomatically, and militarily. You're telling me that that India is concerned about China's aggression? Oh, it used to be Pakistan, but it is now the number 1, 2, and 3 thing that Indian officials raised. The Chinese have been illegally and aggressively eating into a disputed border with India. They've killed 20 Indian soldiers. That has really galvanized India, and it's pushing it closer to the West and closer to the United States. And I think this is something China is going to regret in the long run. Interesting, very interesting. All right, Congressman Michael Waltz, it's good to see you. We know that you'll be watching the debate tomorrow night, so please come back. We'll be there. It'll be interesting. Not in the spin room, we know. Congressman, it's good to see you. Thank you, sir. It's good to see you.